Welcome to our first speaker, Nihit Chaturvedam. He's a staff verification engineer in the systems group there, based in Cambridge. He has 11 plus years of experience. Started his career with SV OVM verification work back in 2009. Worked with 5 different companies and contributed to several projects, and has worked at ARM for the first 5 plus years as a verification engineer for system IP products. He has been involved in the entire verification process of IPs, specification, test-based implementation to debugging regressions and signing off verification. Over to you. Thanks, Nihit.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for the introduction. Hello all. I'm Nihit Chattar. I'm working with ARM for last five plus years as verification engineer for system IP products. I've been involved with a couple of projects with the entire verification process, right from writing the spec to the test bench implementation, debugging regressions, and the sign-off verification. So today's topic is about verification sign-off criteria. And this presentation, I will try to cover sign-off criteria that we recommend here in ARM. And it's important to plan ahead so that we can achieve these criteria well on time. So here's the agenda. So the first thing is requirements tracking. Tracking of requirements, it's very important for getting a sense of verification completeness. Second thing, coverage and regression targets, 2 main pillars for signing off verification. Top level targets. So generally we do verification at different abstractions of the design at different levels, and we have some different targets and goals at the higher level. So I will try to cover them in the top level targets. Analysis and improvements, very important for the verification process. It's like a statistical coverage. It's important to do the periodic analysis of verification status, like bugs, coverage numbers, try to analyze and improve the verification process in order to make sure that our verification is progressing in the right direction. And last, I will try to cover metrics, reporting, and SOAK testing. And SOAK testing, it's very important in order to gain the confidence that a good number of testing is achieved towards the end of verification sign-off without any bugs or failures. So yeah, I'll try to cover this topic. So let's start with requirements tracking. So what are the requirements? Requirements are basically mandatory tasks that we get from all the way starting from our product specification. So we get some product level requirements, and then that gets into the engineering spec. When we write the design specification, we get our design level requirements, mainly coming from the product requirements, and some implementation specific requirements. Sometimes we have intermediate design specs or microarchitecture specs where we get more requirements, and all these requirements will get translated into the verification plan as one of the verification requirements. And finally, one of the example can be the coverage report, where we see that this requirement has been met. So what are the verification requirements that we use here? So some of the examples are having a cover point, assertions, checks, and tests. So this can be our verification requirement. For each engineering requirement or design requirement, we might need a check, we might need a cover point, we might need a specific test. So how does this work, and how do we plan this ahead? So generally we get the requirements from a top level spec, and that gets covered by one of the downstream requirement, which might be a design spec or engineering spec, as I mentioned. This is a very normal flow. Generally, we have more intermediate normal requirements here if we write more intermediate specs. But finally, we should cover all such requirements by one of the check leaf requirement and one of the cover point or a directed test leaf requirement. So you will see that each top level requirement should be finally covered by one of the leaf level requirement. And sometimes writing a check or assertion is not the leaf level requirement. We try to write evidence for it, and that basically works as the leaf requirement to prove that the check has been covered. So you might be thinking that a requirement can be covered by multiple downstream requirements. Consider a particular case and you might have more than one check for it. So basically you'll have two leaf requirements for a top level requirement. And vice versa is also true. Sometimes you cover multiple top level requirements with one cover point or with one test. So what are the sign-off criteria for the requirements tracking? So we upfront define those requirements in the specs, and then finally in the verification plan about the checks, test, cover points. So complete implementation of all those verification requirements is one of the important criteria for the sign-off, and that actually gives us the sense of completeness that whatever we have mentioned, we have actually verified that. And how do we make sure of that? So there is a requirements tracking flow that we use internally for the completeness, which basically links each top level requirement to the leaf requirement. Okay, moving on to the next topic, coverage and the regression targets. So how do we know that we have done the enough verification? It's very important to know that we have done good enough verification, and these targets are going to define that yes, we have achieved good enough verification. So first thing is stimulus. Stimulus basically running a set of test cases to exercise the design. So for the sign-off criteria, it's important that all of such stimulus are implemented and present in our final regression with the extension for any bugs that we have found in the entire verification, and we think that the particular test was missing, then we should have those stimulus counted in the regression. Any coverage related holes which might have resulted into some specific test cases, so all those should be part of the final regression set. Second, checkers. All checkers should be fully enabled. Smoke suit. So what is smoke suit? So smoke is basically it's a set of test cases that tries to cover the basic functionalities of a design, and one of the important sign of criteria is that should be fully passing. And as I said, it covers the basic functionality of a design, so it should be optimized, coverage optimized for the verification sign off. Full regression. So it should include all the test cases as I mentioned. Also, it should include the stress testing, which is very important in order to catch all the bugs. Bugs analysis extension. So as I mentioned, we might find some bugs throughout the process of the verification, and we might end up adding new tests or new stimulus around that. So that should be covered in our full and final regression. Any coverage analysis extension similarly, and all such test cases and the regression should be 100% passing. Assertions. So we might have assertions coded either in the design or in the verification, and that should be fully passing, no errors, and warnings should be fully analyzed. Protocol checkers and VIPs. So we have some inbuilt verification IPs for the standard interfaces and protocol checkers around them. They should all be passing without any failure. So these are more towards the stimulus and the regression target. Now let's talk about the coverage target. So code coverage, we have line, branch, condition, toggle, etc. And these are the numbers where ARM recommends it to be on the high 90s and 100% explained. Explained means well assessed with the design engineer and with the team verification lead, etc. But these are the minimum recommendation numbers. Sometimes in some projects, we define the criteria as 100% for the code coverage. Functional coverage. So in ARM, we generally recommend to do the tiering of the cover points. So tier 1 cover points are something which are essential feature of the design, and we should be having them fully covered. Tier 2 cover points are basically corner case scenarios or some rare scenarios that we try to hit in our functional coverage. So they should be in high 90s if we are not hitting 100%, but they have to be well explained because sometimes some cover points are not possible to hit with a single regression. Last, bugs analysis extension. As I mentioned, we do find bugs throughout the verification process, and then it's important to have the cover point coded for any such bugs if we are missing them, and having them present in our final sign-off coverage. So here is a graph that shows the importance of both code coverage and functional coverage. For example, if you have the higher functional coverage and lower code coverage, then that means either device has more functionality that we have not even covered in our functional coverage, or there are a lot of redundant code in the design, which is not good. On the other side, if you have lower functional coverage and higher code coverage, then that means definitely a lot more testing is required, or design is missing some functionality. So either way, we need both functional coverage and code coverage on the higher side. Moving on to the top level targets. So generally, we get multiple units getting stitched together at the top level because functionality spans across multiple blocks, for which we already do the unit level testing separately. But it's important to do the top level testing. It increases the diversity of the testing, and we generally have some additional top level targets other than the targets that we were just talking about. So at top level, architectural checkers are very important. We have some architectural level requirements defined at the top level in the product spec, and those architectural related requirements are covered by these architectural checks. So they should be fully enabled, fully passing, and we have sometimes we have a specific verification suite, some test cases targeting those architectural requirements. So there should be 100% passing. We might also have implementation defined architectural requirements or device level architectural requirements and a specific verification suite for that. So that should be 100% passing. Configuration testing. So it's very important. Consider a design where a huge configuration space is possible, and sometimes since it's not possible to run all those configurations in everyday regression, we agree with some parameter set with the lead partners and try to test that. But it's very important for the sign off to have all those configurations being tested in, and also the extended configs which can target some corner case scenarios. So these are the specific things which are very important at the top level targets. System level, so that's where our IP gets integrated into the system subsystems, and that's where the actual software which represents the real world condition comes in picture. So here we try to run the real OS and applications for the software compatibility. So the important system level target here is to make sure OS is compatible, and we achieve the system level stress testing with that. Yes, system level profiling, system level coverage, everything should be fully analyzed. And last, the power-aware regression that I wanted to mention here. So power-aware regression is specific to the design, should be 100% passing. We might have design related requirements for the power-aware verification, including the extended configs. We might also have specific coverage to target the power-aware simulations. Again, that should be 100% covered. So these are some of the examples that we make sure to cover in the top level verification. Okay, moving on to the analysis and improvements. So what is the motivation behind the analysis and the improvement? Generally, we nowadays we have very complex designs and verifications, and it's very hard to think of all possible bugs and writing a test case for it. So general approach is to run the random constant simulation and try to hit those bugs. However, this tends to be a bit inefficient by trying to hit all the bugs with the random simulations. Number of tests that we run to hit the coverage, it's very tough to figure out just by the test that how much coverage will hit by these. So generally there's a trial and error technique, and which can be again inefficient. And what does it cost? It costs us a lot of time and compute resources. So if we try to analyze it and try to make it, try to improve it, then we might save some time and resources. So one of the things that we do is regular analysis of the bugs. That's very important. This helps us to provide a list of test cases which are more likely to target corner scenarios, which are very random and more likely to hit important issues. So once we analyze those bugs and the test types, we can prepare our regression suite accordingly by providing, let's say, more seeds to the specific test, which is more likely to hit the bug. You might have a test case which is passing for a few days without any bug for quite long, and you may want to reduce the number of seats for that. and increase the seats for a test which is actually giving us some bugs. So this kind of analysis helps us to get bugs faster and achieve the verification on time. Another way can be using a kind of machine learning tool, for example, in order to improve the test suits for achieving the coverage. So I'll try to give you an example which has been used by one of the team here in ARM. So this is an example of a machine learning tool. So this tool, it takes the test coverage data files in the .ucdb format, and that's like a training data for the tool. With this training data, it tries to figure out that how much is the probability of hitting each bean with a different test. Then it tries to sort and select those test types which can give us more beans. So basically the aim here is to not hit the same bean again and again with the same with the different tests. We are trying to hit different beans with the least number of tests. So this analysis, this is basically a tool forecast. This using this training data, which is basically coming from a normal regression, tool has figured out that for hitting, like you can see the blue marker, for hitting the same 21,200 beans, it can just take 500 tests, which it has figured out, compared to a normal regression, which has taken a lot more tests than it. So after doing this analysis, the tool tries to figure out the seeds for each test and which test needs to be run more. And once we figure out that regression suit and we run again, this was the result that has been found, that we achieved higher coverage by using the regression suit from the tool analysis, and just by 44% of the tests. So that's even less than half. So we achieved a higher coverage with half number of tests. So here test cycles are basically representing the number of tests. So this kind of analysis and improvement helps us saving time, saving resources, but it needs to be decided upfront how much analysis and improvement we can do in our verification process in order to do the on-time delivery. Last, I would like to talk about metrics reporting and SOAK testing. So regular metrics reporting is very important in order to ensure that verification is on track. SOAK testing gives us the confidence towards the end of the verification that we have run the regression and there are no critical failures are left. So here are some of the examples for reporting the metrics. For example, volume of unit level and top level SOAK testing. So we try to run the SOAK testing both at the unit and the top level, and we have to, so there are certain targets and we have to meet those targets for the SOAK testing towards the end. Number and severity of bugs. So this is something that we analyze throughout the process of the verification, and that helps us to achieve what I'm showing here in this graph. Generally, we tend to find the bugs in the very earlier milestones. So these are some intermediate milestones here that we use in ARM. And we generally get more bugs in the first two milestones, starting with the unit level and then going down to the top and the system level. But as you can see, once we approach towards the release, we'll have less number of bugs or ideally no bugs. So what are our sign of targets with respect to that? So first thing, as I said, SOAK testing has to meet the cycle targets, and these cycle targets are sometimes approved well upfront in the verification planning. And we have to make sure that we have run those many cycles towards the end of the verification sign-off and have not seen any failure, both at the unit level, top level, sometimes at system level and multi-unit level as well. Full bug tracking of the bugs, well, we do that throughout the process, but even towards the end, sometimes we might have a verification bugs left or some enhancement bugs left. So they have to be fully tracked even towards the end. Obviously, all high severity RTL bugs are closed, and any bugs that we have found after the last milestone, they are required to be presented in front of the review committee and for the publication approval. So these are some of the examples that we try to do in the metrics reporting. That's all from my side. Thank you, everyone. That's all I have in my presentation. I think we have left a couple of minutes, so if you have any questions for me.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Nihit. We do have a few questions that
Sure.
have come. We have about 5, but I think we're only going to get time for 2 or 3. The first one is from Aditya Puli. What do you mean by evidence in slide 4, and how do you track checkers?
Right. So in some of the teams, we are now trying to do the evidence of a check. So one of the example, a simple example can be having just a log message which tells us that a check has been hit. So that shows that we have hit that particular check. Sometimes we have also for the assertions, we have the coverage around them. So there are some kind of evidences that shows that a particular check has been hit.
Okay, thank you. And next question is from Thermal. What are architecture checks? Are they just performance checks, or are they more than that?
Sometimes they are more than that. For example, we might have the architectural requirements at the top level, which is generally not easily possible to achieve at the unit level, because as I said, the functionalities they spans across the multiple units differently. And in order to get those architectural requirements, we need all those units to stick together. So some requirements, product specific requirements, are only possible to hit at the top level. And that's where the architectural checks are important in order to ensure that the architecture of the product has been met and the requirement has been achieved. I hope that
and I think
answers the question.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Time for one more question from Jen and Jacob. For the code coverage analysis, do you use different milestones with different coverage percentages, or is it just a single milestone with a final target?
So we do use different milestones at different targets at the different milestones. Generally, with the starting intermediate milestones, we generally have it about it has been tracked and analyzed with let's say high 80s, but down the line we try to say that it should be in high 90s, high 95. So yes, we do try to track them from the very first milestone, but we try to put these restrictions of 90% or 95% towards later in the phase of the verification.
Perfect. We've got apologies to Christian Beckman and Sylvian Plankalin. We've run out of time. So thank you very much, Nihit.
Thank you everyone. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Back to you.